everyone who loves animals and wants to feed them should hear this. Our food, quite a few of the animals, is creating diabetic animals.
Wow.
Because even if it's not got sugar, it's ultra processed and their body is not designed for it.
Even human body is not designed for ultra processed.
Exactly.
We are suffering. I think there's a disbalance, which is why we see such growing population of pigeons here.
Correct.
Is that true?
It's an urban phenomenon. No?
Yeah.
Because in the urban areas,
I've heard pigeons spread diseases.
yes, because of their poop,
What is it that fascinates you about wildlife?
pure excitement. It's a natural thing that comes to some of us. In most cases, we are lucky that wild animals will avoid us. Wherever they realize that people on foot are easy, that is where you get problem animals.
What is the most beautiful outdoors moment you've experienced in the jungle?
It's still a very surreal thing that, oh, really, I saw that.
Episode 96, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Find Your Ultra podcast. This conversation is with my friend Sameer Bakshi, who is a naturalist and a wildlife guide. Sameer's been doing this stuff for many years now. I've known him nearly a decade as far as I can remember. And I've been always in awe of what he's been doing. Like, I love the stuff that he posts on social media. He's not big on social media, so you may not have heard of him, but the stuff that he posts is absolutely inspirational. It always made me curious and I wanted to have a longer conversation with him, so I recorded this episode. But unfortunately, we had technical glitches, which is not something we have often. Production quality is usually very good. Unfortunately, we had that in this case. And I feel bad for myself. I couldn't have a longer conversation. I feel bad for the guest, for you, but I promise to make up for it. And we'll definitely have him back on the show for a much longer conversation. If you love nature, if you love wildlife, if you love animals, even if you don't, this is a conversation for you, because you do see pets around, you do see stray animals around, and it's a conversation for that anyone can relate to. You will actually like it. Let me know in the comments. And so without further ado, here's Sameer Bakshi and me in the Find Your Ultra podcast, episode 96. Indulge away. Sameer Bakshi, welcome to the Find Your Ultra podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here.
We've known each other for a while. I think it's been 6-7 years, like more than half a
Yes.
decade now, right?
2018.
Yeah. And you've been living such an interesting life that I'm very curious about. And, you know, you're the kind of person who spends time in nature, and the sort of person that I feel like I would want to be better friends with and catch up over a coffee or a beer or something. We never really got around to doing that, but we finally here
No, but I'm
with
glad
the
to hear
mics.
that. That's always a great compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And I'm glad we're sitting with the mics and we're going to be able to record your journey, which, like I said, is so intriguing and interesting. So like I said, we've never really met too many times. I think once or twice we've met. So the only thing I know about you is that you spend a lot of time in the jungles
Correct.
and you take a lot of photos of animals, and you're into fitness. You're a kickboxing instructor and maybe Krav Maga as well.
Yeah, I currently work as, since 2016, I've been working as an instructor with BoxFit,
Okay.
which is a premium studio in South Delhi.
Yeah.
And I've been a wildlife guide since 2003. I used to work full-time in the forests of Madhya Pradesh in Pench Tiger Reserve from 2003 to 2006.
What does one do there at full time?
That means I used to work with a private lodge. I was their professional naturalist. So guests would come from all over the world, and I would be their interface to take them through the forest and explain the forest to them. And if we were very lucky, we would see tigers also. And that would be the main aim. But to explain the ecology, the birds, the sounds, and all that is mystery within the wilderness, that used to be my job.
Fascinating. Yeah, let's go right back to what got you into this.
I've been passionate about animals since I was a little kid.
What about your childhood influenced that?
I don't know. The first time I went to the zoo with my grandfather and my parents, I never wanted to come back. I was like, no, I just want to remain around the animals. That
How old
time
were you back then? Do you remember?
5. Yeah. And that time we used to have circuses as well. And circuses with animals in it. So those were the early 80s that these kind of things used to be
Yeah.
allowed.
Are they
And
back now, circuses? Because I see some advertisements for them, but maybe they're back without animals.
yes, animals are not have not been allowed in circuses for decades now.
Mm.
And I think that was the last time where in the early to mid 80s is where circuses kind of phased out animals because there was more of a cry against it.
Yeah.
And I mean, of course, then watching animals in the circuses as well, one was more intrigued. One was excited to watch exotic animals there. Didn't have much of an understanding of the freedom of a wild animal at that time.
Mm.
But
Still, bulk of the world still does not. Like, we still, a lot of the world is still okay with animals being in the zoo and being in captivity and being in circuses. Yeah, it is just a few who know about this and the cruelty and everything, that side of it.
I would say it's a split. There are certain areas where captivity in where it's scientifically done and well managed is good for certain species of animals that are struggling in the wild because of habitat destruction being too heavy or their populations being too low.
But what about for amusement of humans? Like with
Yeah,
tigers who are sedated and people walking around with them and like taking selfies and those videos.
that is policy of certain governments that they allow it, and it should not be allowed because it sends more than cruelty to the animal, it also sends a very wrong message to people that these animals are like cuddly toys where they are not, they are
They're
lethal.
wild animals. They
They
are
are lethal.
wild.
Yeah, yeah. So, and the power of that animal and the way it can suddenly, in a certain, just a sudden mood swing, it can really hurt you, and it can even be fatal because of it.
And it has been like we've seen videos go viral.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, whether it's with elephants, whether it's with tigers, whether it's with bears, apes, snakes, people should never get the wrong idea as to how dangerous these animals are. And because they are wild, it is their nature to be so. They are not supposed to be cuddly soft toys.
Hmm.
That is fine in animation,
Yeah.
but it is not, you don't want to overhumanize it by being too much in contact with it.
Hmm.
You want to understand as a human being, yes, we have a certain separation and we should enjoy our space and learn how to live within that.
And give them their space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
It is very
Right.
important.
Yeah. So you got intrigued when you were very young and you went to the zoo and maybe circuses. And so, what age would you say you decided that this is sort of the thing that you want to do? Because naturalist or a wildlife guide or these weren't really professions back then, were they?
No, they were not.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, a big fight to try and get there. I know I was absolutely sure I wanted to be in the forest most of the time or full time. The first time I went with my school nature club, I was in Doon School from 1991 to 1998. And within the first 2 weeks, I got a chance to go with the nature club to Rajaji Tiger Reserve, Rajaji National Park at that time. And just, I remember I couldn't sleep because I was watching deer in the forest rest house lawns all night. I was just so fascinated at watching them.
Mm.
And we got to see elephants at the rest house the following morning. And I was very disappointed to come back to school at the end of the trip, which was only one night. And since then, I was constantly angling, want to go and be in the forest full time.
Mm.
Then post school, I wanted to be again in the forest. It was still a bit of a contentious issue with my parents, of course, because this was not something that I would say families were not exposed to this kind of lifestyle
Yeah.
at that time. Now it's very different.
It's very different, but still, it's not mainstream at all.
It's not mainstream, but it pays a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of families can accept it.
Okay.
At that time, the pay was not much. It was just that if you were passionate about it and you did it. Otherwise, if you wanted to be in the forest, you would want to give the UPSC exam and join the forest service. Or,
What's the forest service? A sarkari naukri?
yes,
Mhm.
sarkari naukri. And I didn't want to be in the sarkari naukri. So that was the thing. And I think over time, I think when college didn't work out after a point, I was very steadfast that now I'm going. And I finally got to work in Pench Tiger Reserve. I got to work with one of the best organizations and companies who were ecologically sound, as well as they had a very good base in marketing for tourism. So the lodge I worked at, which was called Bagwan, and then it was sold to Taj in Pench. So in those 3 years, Pench was still taking off. No one knew about it. Everyone knew about Kana and Bandhavgarh in Corbett and all these places. But Pench was not known. And I remember within those 3 years, our lodge and that park became so well known because of the overall wildlife experience that was on offer. And that made a big difference. And yeah, I was finally happy that I managed to just get there. It was not easy. Once again, I mean, my first season in Pench was, I would say, one of the freakishly disastrous ones when it came to tigers.
Yeah.
I
What does that
was
mean?
I was there for 3.5 months, and I must have done 70 drives, and I did not see a tiger in the whole season.
Mm.
And that was, I mean, wildlife sighting was, my luck was not in. I would just say that. I remember I went back the following season, and within my first drive, I saw a leopard. And on the busiest day of the park, 3 days later, I was the only one who saw the tiger. So luck, and fortune moves in different ways and comes to everybody in the forest at some point. Yeah.
Fabulous. Like, this is very interesting. And then the struggles, like you mentioned, were there any times where you felt like, okay, maybe this cannot be done for the rest of my life, or maybe I need to find other ways and get into like one of the conventional things to sustain? Did that happen?
Yes and no. I mean, I was doing well after a period of time in the forest as a guide. But when you're that young, you always have, you know, fantasies that you want to explore, that maybe I can try a corporate job, maybe I can do this and do that, and maybe I'll have I can explore this side of life, a city based life. However, I think in school itself, I knew I was not cut out for a conventional job because I couldn't sit. I was not academically sound. Uh, I used to only love reading about wildlife and playing sport, and mainly squash, basically. That's what I used to play that time. And in all my free time, I would either be in the library reading wildlife, or I would be out bird watching in the campus because the school campus had one wide diversity of birds, and it is one of the most beautiful campuses that you can ever see. Yeah, 72 acres of prime greenery in the Doon Valley, right? So, but one of the reasons I also decided to come back into the city was because after a while, I used to miss sport and fitness. And that time, I didn't have much of a structure in fitness. And at that time, when you were a wildlife guide, it could become like a paid holiday over a period of time, and you could really just uh, get too relaxed in that job.
Right.
My discipline was not up to par when it came to managing fitness as well as wildlife at that time. So I was like, no, I would want to work on my fitness a little more. And then the struggle came ki how is one going to manage that in the city where, you're not now earning from
Yeah.
wildlife.
How did your interest in fitness actually come about?
Well, I was constantly, because I used to watch sport and I used to love watching gymnastics, Olympic sports, swimming. Uh, Apart from, I mean, I used to play squash, but after a while I realized कि if I'm not going to turn professional, it's not a sport that is going to translate into real life skills.
How did Krav Maga and how did kickboxing happen?
Yeah, so I was really into, as you grow up, you watch a lot of martial arts movies. And one was always fascinated by martial arts movies, whether it's Bruce Lee, Van Damme, or any of them. And at one point, I was like, I'd like to learn a martial art. But I was always scared of contact sport. All my life when I grew up, I used to be scared of contact
Interesting.
sport. Yeah. It was not something that came naturally to me. And first I tried doing a bit of wushu in the stadium. Did it for a little bit, but didn't find it interesting at that time. So left it within a month. And then it's only in 2005 that I read about Krav Maga. And then
It's an Israeli martial art?
it's an Israeli self-defense system which incorporates movements from multiple martial arts and tweaks them for self-defense. So it's not a martial art because it doesn't involve rules. It only involves techniques which are designed to, work in a street system of
Combat.
self-defense. Yes. So there are no medals, there are no tournaments in Krav Maga
None
for that
at all.
reason. None.
Oh,
There are
okay.
no. It's not.
So it's only for fitness and self-defense that you can pursue it.
Yeah, self-defense and fitness. So
Okay.
because you
In
go
that order.
after the self-defense, yes, then you become fit.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's for any sport. Where like most people ask, okay, oh, you used to play squash, you must be so fit. I was like, no, it's because I learned how to play squash over many years and I played competitively. I became fit. If you just want to become fit, then it's better to do is just to strength training and HIIT fitness workouts, cardio.
You don't miss squash. You don't regret not taking it up as a sport?
For a very short period of time in my early 20s, I did. But then, no, the amount of work that is required to be a professional squash player and perform at the highest level.
ये बड़ी समस्या है ना जिंदगी में.
Yeah.
You can't just do it for fun. And then to be able to do that, you have to have your life sorted in all other aspects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, and I realized it when I used to play nationals and other tournaments in the men's section. The difference between juniors and men's is just a world apart. I mean, just the most average men's player can really take you apart if you're not on your game and if you're not playing high, high percentage squash. Because their strength level and their fitness is not like a junior. They will not give up on points. They'll be stronger and be able to hit more and reach more, and they will wear you out much faster than you can think of. So
yeah, I think it's just you'll probably have to commit to it 100% and do nothing else.
Absolutely.
And make sure that you become one of the best in the country.
Yeah, and then you want to become, and ideally you want to start doing that when you're a junior.
Early, yes.
So you want to be doing international tournaments when you're a junior and playing in the Asian championships or in tournaments in Asia.
Have that goal, single-mindedly work on it.
Absolutely. So that you're exposed to that kind of competition from a junior level itself. So that makes a big difference.
Great. I still want to know what is it that fascinates you about the wildlife, about the jungle? What keeps pulling you back? If you were to take a shot at defining what it is.
I would say pure excitement. It's a natural thing that comes to some of us. I am lucky and blessed that I find it as exciting today as I did as a 5-year-old or when I first went to the forest as an 11-year-old. Every time one hears a sound from the forest, and especially if it's, sounds of an owl at night, or you hear the alarm calls of deer at night which signal the movement of a predator, it's very exciting to be able to interpret the sonar movement of how the animal is moving.
What's a sonar movement?
So the calls will give you an idea that the animal is about at a certain distance from the deer. So if whether it's a tiger or a leopard, so sonar is basically that sound is hitting
Sound.
you and it's creating a picture as to how the animal is moving. You can't see it, but it's giving you the picture as to how the predator is moving alongside the deer, or whether they can see it, if they can't see it, and that
Then it's a
comes with
different
time.
sound.
Yeah. So the way the tempo of the sound also changes accordingly. And that comes with experience, that you'd learn how to interpret each of those sounds. And even during the day, I mean, when you hear, any of the alarm calls, or if you hear birds, the way they call, or insects, the way they go quiet when a predator moves into the forest.
Wow.
Yeah. There is, you'll have cicadas, which will be giving a real din. If you've gone into an area in the ridge also in summer, and, the insects are very, very loud. When a predator moves underneath them, suddenly they go quiet for those few seconds. Once it passes, then they'll start calling again. Yeah, so you get to interpret
Amazing.
that kind of thing. So it's, I guess, I can't define it. It's just that some things are meant for us, and I'm blessed that this is meant for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. I very recently went to Sanjeevan with a colleague of mine, and he's a runner, and he also takes people on nature walks and stuff. He's not a naturalist, but he told me a little bit about Sanjeevan, and he told me about trees, for example. He said कीकर भी दो तीन तरह की होती है. ये वाली जो यहाँ पे लगी है, this was brought from overseas and planted here, and this is sort of wild, and it sort of eats away, like it destroys the soil in some ways, and it kills all the other kinds of trees, and then it's all kikar that you'll see, which is why you'll see massive kikar forests. And I was like, brilliant. Like, I had no idea. And about the birds, like pigeons, क्यों इतनी population है इसकी, and are they, like, people feed pigeons. But he said one of the naturalists he had on his, one of the walks hated pigeons. And he was like, I think there's a disbalance, which is why we see such growing population of pigeons here.
Correct.
Is that true?
It's an urban phenomenon, no?
Yeah.
Because in the urban areas, there are not enough predatory birds,
Right.
and there's way too much food. And pigeons are very adaptable, and they can bully other birds off with just their presence. They won't be like pecking at them, but their presence can be overwhelming,
Intimidating
for other birds.
Mm.
And because of that, they'll bully them off. Like mynas can bully off other birds. So pigeons, mynas, your parakeets, the parrots that you see around, bulbuls, and crows, they can be regarded as, amongst the 100 invasive species on the planet.
Bulbuls.
Who can, wherever an environment starts getting degraded, you'll see more of these, as opposed to where you see a pristine environment which has fewer human habitations, more wilderness. You'll see birds which are more niche oriented and more song. They will be there in larger numbers and more colorful. So that will be the thing, because crows, bulbuls, mynas, pigeons, they're like rats. They can live very well on with humans and feed on human waste very well. And that
What about
allows them.
diseases? I've heard pigeons spread diseases.
Yes, I mean, because of their poop, the salmonella rises, and as well as a lot of, I would say, once that mixes in the air, it can really affect your lungs. And that is not something you want in your city. That is one of the biggest problems that urban India and urban places across the world should understand, that it is the quintessential path to hell paved with good intentions. We are trying to be good by feeding birds because we feel, okay, hey, this is a good thing to do to feed the animal. But if they become too many, they can hurt us by just being themselves. They are not trying to hurt us. But their population growing, we are not adapted to be able to handle their concentration in such numbers.
So we should stop feeding pigeons.
Absolutely. We should not
And
be
other
feeding
birds as well.
Yeah, we should not be trying to feed birds and animals. They can find enough food on their own, and if they can't, then they'll shift. They will always look to shift.
What about water? Should we keep water for birds? Because people do in this heat.
Yeah, you can keep water for birds. Just avoid feeding them food. One of the other things that happens in many places, especially in large parks and gardens where people leave out feed for birds, is rats take over all of it.
All of that feed.
Yes. So in Lodi Gardens, you have a lot of places where they had left out feed for birds, and the rats came and fed on all of it, and the rats are very big because of it. So that is not something you want, because you create a very different problem. It happens with monkeys. Where we feed too many monkeys, they can become extremely dangerous for us.
And notorious as well.
Yes.
Notorious, I guess they are by nature.
Yeah, for that nature, for that reason, you're creating an issue which you didn't need to create. So as long as it is just straight away telling you that you should respect a certain boundary between you and the animal. That is very important. Have that boundary. We, of course, as a species, invade everything. So we are not taken away from any of that guilt. But we should not create a completely different problem by then trying to say, okay, now because I've hammered its environment or destroyed the animal's environment, now what is within my environment, I should now try and do better for it and now create a different problem for us. Yeah. So always respect the boundary of the animal.
That's what I think all the time, because when you go to these religious places, like let's say Vrindavan or Mathura, and you have so many monkeys there, and they, of course, bananas are great. Monkeys feed on bananas. But at, I think, Banke Vihari Temple and a couple of other places where monkeys are so notorious, they would want like a fruity or something in return. That's a packaged thing that monkeys didn't evolve to like have a fruity.
They didn't.
Right? And they would like, wo chashma washma le jate hain aapka, or
and then it's blackmail.
It's blackmail. It's a
use
barter.
It. Yeah. And so it's also created a new problem, which is where everyone who loves animals and wants to feed them should hear this. Our food, quite a few of the animals, is creating diabetic animals.
Wow.
Because even if it's not got sugar, it's ultra processed and their body is not designed for it.
Even human body is not designed for ultra processed.
Exactly.
We are suffering. And
so an animal would suffer even more greatly and far faster because its body is far more sensitive. That is as simple. It's more resilient in many cases. So
I'm assuming then that's true for all animals and all processed food. So when you go boating in certain places, for fishes and for certain birds, they give you food. And what I've seen is that's also processed. Jaise namkeen bhi hoti khane ki. Certain birds are fed that. Like they would give you a packet of that, and then you throw that in the air and birds would come and try and catch that.
Yes.
And so that's purely processed, like
it is. And that is dangerous for the animal. It is something that we need to completely understand, that our food is certainly harming us because of how much chemical we put in it. But the wild animals system is even more sensitive and it will harm it far more. The animals are very resilient, but it biomagnifies in them over a generation. And so, like it happens in humans, monkeys start becoming diabetic over time. And you see dogs who are so heavy, they're not designed to be like that, right? So it becomes where you're trying to overfeed them. And there needs to be a boundary which you draw.
We humans have made a hell out of the food ecosystem for ourselves, but at least we have the choice of understanding it and then still deciding to die off it, right? The poor animal does not have that choice. Like they don't even know, they're just eating it because because it's available. It's there, and because that's the only thing they know.
Yeah, and an animal is very smart. It knows, hey, if something is easily accessible, They are like us. If something is easily accessible, they will get it.
Right.
Like elephants will raid granaries or fields if they have access to it, even if they have access to the whole forest, because it's much better foraging for them. It's a better return on investment for the effort they put in to go and raid a crop field, because the nutrition they'll get from it will be higher. So they can spend their time relaxing just like we want. Okay, hey, if I have a certain kind of food, it gives me that energy and it gives me the nutrition, and after that I can spend time
So it's the
relaxing.
economy of effort that they are also seeking.
Absolutely. All animals. Yeah.
Right. I feel there are certain people who are very scared of dogs and certain people who are not. So I've never been scared of dogs because I feel there's certain frequency that you get, like you mentioned. But yeah, I've never really maybe familiarity, but maybe I've just told myself that they won't, like, if you're not doing anything wrong and if you're not giving them vibes that you're scared or you're going to hurt them, if you're like if you give relaxed vibes, then they are not going to hurt you. But your incident tells me other things are also possible.
Absolutely. And I would say that this goes for a lot of animals we think are not dangerous. A lot of people think elephants are, very cute and cuddly. Bears, same thing, right? But the reality is that when we are in the forest and we are walking, if there is one thing that we are, two animals that we are always on high alert for, that we would like to, if we encounter them, we want to be very wary. We want to keep distance big time. It's elephants and bears. Elephants have been hunted by us for so many decades and over centuries. Elephants have great memories. They send those memories through family units, through into calves, and how the entire herd responds and how each animal responds. It is always either aggression or they'll run away. But if it gets aggressive, an elephant can really, catch you fast.
I think one of the recent stories also, you got charged by an elephant.
Yes, a mock charge. And it was, for a split second, I was wondering why our gypsy hadn't been on start all the time. Because even though the elephants had chosen the distance, but the tusker still got aggravated that we was that close. So he charged for 5-6 meters and then turned away. And I was very thankful for that. Bears, the same thing. They are highly unpredictable. Most of the time, if you encounter them, they are very shy and they'll run off. But every now and then, a bear can press home a charge, especially if it's got cubs. It can press home a charge, and it can be, if you are on foot and you are alone, it can be devastating.
So trail running isn't all that safe.
No, you can't really run away from a wild animal. It's too fast.
No, for sure. But I'm saying, yeah, trail running. Like it reminds me of a very scary video that I saw of a guy running on a trail and then having a bear encounter. And then he was running downhill and then he saw the bear and then he started running back up, like looking at the animal first, and then ulta okay, he started running uphill. And it's terrifying.
In the wild, all these things are moot.
Very commonplace.
No, these are not some things you try and employ. We all have understandings and strategies as to what we will do. But at the end of the day, it is what the wild animal has decided to do. In most cases, we are lucky that wild animals will avoid us. That is their number one priority. Decades and decades of hunting, wild animals will avoid people on foot. Wherever they realize that people on foot are easy, that is where you get problem animals. Then the animal becomes an issue for anybody, because now it realizes, oh, this is so easy. Human being has no defense. It's not fast. It has no hearing. It has no sense of smell. And it can't really see better than anybody else. So, and it really can't climb that fast either. So, what's the problem? So it was just in their mind that we have put that fear that human beings on foot are dangerous. But in most cases, we should be thankful that animals see us and give us distance straight away. They decide when we encounter them, they decide, hey, we would like to avoid conflict. Every now and then, the time you hear about an issue is where the animal has decided, no, this is too close for my comfort and I am pressing home the charge. That's it. Yeah. So I would say people should keep in mind that all animals that they find cute and cuddly have that side to them, which is always very real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget about it.
Pardon my ignorance and tell me, why are open jeeps allowed? Like, can't they be attacked by, let's say, a cheetah or an animal that can jump at you?
Yeah, it can.
But they usually don't because you are in a herd. You're
No,
a
if
group
you're
of
in an
people.
open jeep, in most cases, an open jeep is not seen as a threat for a number of animals. So, like I said, most animals optimize for economy of effort. I mean, there's no reward in jumping into an open jeep with people, right? Cats can make out that we are not the vehicle, right? Dogs can make animals which see in binocular vision, like us, can and see in 3D can make out that we are not the same as the vehicle or we are not the same as the tree.
Oh,
Right? They can make out. That is what they are designed for. Deer will see in wide angle, so they will, and in 2D, so they'll see as a drawing. So a lot of times you can be close you can hide in vegetation and a deer might pass you. If it doesn't smell you, it might pass you.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas a cat or a dog, the chances that it notices you, or even a primate like a monkey, monkeys see exactly like us, so they can see. So till date, in all these decades of safari in India, it's only happened once where a tiger jumped into a open jeep and caught hold of a tourist's arm. But it was a very aggravated circumstance where the tiger had a cub and vehicle that had illegally entered the forest the previous night had hit the cub.
Mm.
And this tiger was extremely aggravated and she pressed home the charge and landed into the jeep. Thankfully, fleeting hit from the person who was driving caught the tiger on the nose and it left the person's arm immediately and left. And that was the last of it. Yeah. And otherwise, in all these years, I've seen tigers within 2 feet of my gypsy and they will pass you without an issue because for them, you are not a threat. So if animals don't consider you a threat, it's not a problem. In Africa, you have guides who sit on a chair on the front of the bonnet and they have lions passing right next to their feet and they survive. So I think for us to be afraid
Or is
of...
it also familiarity because they've probably seen that human enough times around? Or
No, they've
do animals
seen...
do, because you've been in the jungle quite often, and do you think, like, have you sort of an unsaid sort of have you built an unsaid sort of a relationship with an animal, or have you felt, have you been that delusional ever?
No, I've always been wary when I've been walking, always on alert. When you're on foot, it's just automatic, you will be on alert because any corner can hold a surprise. And so when you're walking on foot, anyone who walks in the forest will always be alert to sights and sounds. And most people will also ask another question, why you don't carry a weapon? Because a weapon is only good if you can see the animal and react in good time. If an animal is decided to hunt you, you don't have a chance. You'll never see it. So if tigers...
They're good predators. They'll
Yeah,
make
they're
sure you
excellent. Tigers and leopards are some of the best predators on the planet. The elite. If they decide to hunt you, you'll never see them. So it's because they're not decided to hunt you that you're seeing them. So in most cases, unless you walk into a cat on a kill or you walk into one with cubs and it's too close, in most cases, the animal will just send you a warning and it will move and allow you to move as well. That is where I would say we are lucky that the animals treat us with that deference, right? And especially because we are on foot. Yeah.
Before I ask my last question, please tell people where they can find you.
So you can always find me on Instagram, wilderness_child88. Then you can find me on Facebook at Sameer Bakshi at Facebook. I have a website now called beyondtigers.com, and it works on my wildlife profile and guiding. And I have an Instagram profile with the same name, Beyond Tigers. So always welcome to interact with me on that. I'm not an influencer, so the chances that I will respond to your question will be pretty high.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. My last question then is what is the most beautiful outdoors moment you've experienced in a jungle?
Oh, okay. That is
That's really hard to choose, isn't it? That's like asking
very hard.
somebody who really loves to read, like, what's your favorite book? And, it's just hard to choose. Like, one that comes to mind, one that you would want to talk about.
If there'll have to be a bit more context, should it be the most tender moment, the most exciting moment, the
One
most
that's
thrilling?
close to you, close to your heart. Like,
I think
one that you witnessed and you're like, who can I tell this to immediate? Like, can't wait to.
okay, there's way too many. So I will pick, I think, one of the most surreal moments.
Mhm.
One of them will be sighting snow leopard in Ladakh. And it was just.
That was recent, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in 2021. And it was just out of the blue. We were not even looking for snow leopard. And we found it absolutely in the wild. We were watching wild sheep grazing near the riverbed. And my friend, who had actually organized the whole trip, and he had been in Ladakh for many years, Surya, he is the one who spotted the snow leopard, And then we saw it stalk the sheep, charge at them, miss all of them. And, it was, and then to be with that snow leopard for 3 hours.
3 hours?
And where it came so close to us that we could take a mobile shot. I mean, I'd never, it's still a very surreal thing that, oh, really, I saw that, and so close. And my friends would also agree that it was an extremely surreal moment because most people, because I went back to Ladakh a year and a half later, and the snow leopards were so far off that you could only see them through a spotting scope. And that was the best that you could get. Usually you don't see snow leopards that close. And so that was an exceptional moment. I would say there was a time I was in Satpura National Park, and it was one of my last days in this lodge. And I could hear this sound coming from a well. And it was like a cat mewing. And that time you wonder, why is a cat mewing from a well? And you went there, and I saw that there was this frog in the wall, and that was the one that was mewing out. And very soon I realized that it was mewing out in alarm. And it was trying to come out, but it couldn't. And it dawned on me that it couldn't come out because it was caught by something inside the wall. And there were these two other big frogs who were swimming in the water, and then they would suddenly explode and fight with each other near that frog every time it would try to come out. And little by little, it started to come out, kept mewing. And this one frog came, leapt on, and grabbed that frog and pulled it out of the wall. And this snake was the one that had caught the frog from the other side. So it literally pulled out most of the snake as well. And it was a bit of a tug of war. And the frog was just too powerful. And it just pulled it out and it gobbled up that frog. A full cannibalism. And the snake was wise to leave it because it would have gobbled up the snake also if it had the chance. So yeah, these were, I would say, a big animal moment and a small animal moment. these would
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating, sir. Chalta
Yeah.
फिरता National Geographic है ये.
be. Oh, it's just
It's just
you
so
know.
amazing to talk to you. And yeah, my sincere apologies for letting myself and my audience down, because we would have really loved a longer conversation. We will come back for it,
Yes, it would
and
be
let
great.
this be a teaser,
Absolutely.
because this has been a teaser for me. Like I can keep talking.
Yeah, no, it would
Yeah.
be. I'm happy to always just when it comes to wildlife and fitness, happy to keep on talking.
Let's do a longer episode.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. Would
lovely.
be
Thank
wonderful.
you so much for making time, brother.
No, thank you so much as well. Yeah.
Cheers.
Nice.